Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It's Monday and that can mean only one thing. Another return of the Primarch videos, and this time we are looking at Mr. Tattoo Face. Mr. of let's just ruin everything, let's ruin the Great Crusade, all because I want to believe in something and, I'll accept anything into my mouth. And I accept chaos. So, yes, we're talking about Lorgar. That was quite a big introduction. But today's Return of the Primarch is going to be about Lorgar. Everyone's favourite Primarch, of course. So let's jump in and let's get to the bottom of Lorgar. And let's look at how he could return in the 8th edition storyline. If you are a new viewer and you're joining for the first time, this series is me just looking at all the Primarchs. Every Primarch, I'll eventually do every Primarch, and just looking at if they will return, how could they return, and just throw some mad theories out there, have a bit of fun along the way, and just discuss Primarchs, basically. I'm Primarch mad, if you don't really know by now, but this is just an excuse for me to talk about Primarchs. Right, let's get on to the funky stuff, and let's talk details about Lorgar and his Legion. So Lorgar was the Primarch of the 17th Legion, known as the Word Bearers, and this Legion differed quite a lot from all the other legions during the Great Crusade, as they were quite religious, quite fanatical. And when I say religious, is that they basically saw the Emperor as a god. They went around each world that they basically took over. They put shrines up to the Emperor. They made the population see the Emperor as this divine being. Everything that the Emperor hated, that's what he didn't want from his sons. He wanted the imperial truth, that there were no gods, it was just science, and science is awesome. But Lorgar always wanted to believe in something. It's actually quite a sad tale. I know a lot of people dislike Lorgar. I, in some ways, really dislike him. But it's a really sad tale that Lorgar just, basically, his story is that he just wanted the truth. That's all he ever wanted, was the truth. Now, the Emperor got word of this, and he confronted Lorgar. He actually confronted him on a planet which he's just recently took over, and the Emperor cast down all the shrines. He basically more or less destroyed the planet. Lorgar was like, whoa, this guy's like just cast down his own divinity. How can this guy not be a god? Look at all the stuff he can do. He can like control like, the astropath, like millions and billions of ships all at the same time. Lorgar was like, how is this guy saying he's not a god? So after the Emperor basically gave him a little spanking on his bum, Guilliman was there for the spanking. Guilliman was like peeping through the door like, oh boy. And Lorgar always took the funnies to Guilliman ever since then. But the Guilliman was just following the Emperor's orders. It wasn't like Guilliman went out of his way just to watch Lorgar get spanked or anything like that. So Lorgar basically just withdrew from himself, and this is where he fell to chaos. But the thing about Lorgar falling to chaos, I always find, is that he was more or less pushed. I know a lot of people said, oh yeah, he just went to believe in something. You can really go down that path, but he had two little people around him who I absolutely despise. One was called Corferon, and the other one was called Erebus. And now, if you've read the Horus Heresy, people will understand about the hate towards these characters, because they manipulate, they kill people who you actually love, everything like that. I'm not going to get involved in like who they kill and stuff like that, but these two characters more or less led Lorgar down the garden path of chaos, holding his hand, going, look, it's so cool, look at it, it's all amazing. So Lorgar eventually fell to chaos, and the Word Bearers were the first legion to basically go down that path and give themselves to the ruinous powers of chaos. So Lorgar was now happy because he's finally got something to believe in. He actually, chaos is the truth. This is the truth path. This is what I should believe in. So he was happy. And while all this happened and, his legion fell, it wasn't like known to the other legions at this stage. And Lorgar was like full on planning mode. He was planning like how he can, convert other legions and stuff, how he could like basically take the war on the Emperor and overthrow him and have chaos as a true power and stuff like that. So Corferon and Erebus were really involved in that, and Erebus more so as he was sent out and he set up lodges within other legions. Some legions basically slung him out. I think it was the Iron Warriors was like, no, we don't want lodges in our stuff, you can get the hell out of here. I'm not sure the Imperial Fist had him because we're so loyal to the Emperor, but all the lodges were basically kind of like mini corruptions within the legions and stuff like that. Well, they eventually got there, all because of Erebus doing his chaosy stuff. This is why Erebus is hated. And, the legions who fell in the end. And that is, what happened during the Horus Heresy. Now, after the siege of the Imperial Powers failed, yes, it failed because Dawn was in command, and the traitors got pushed back into the eye. Nearly all the Primarchs, and Lorgar included, basically just kept themselves to themselves. Lorgar more so, he went into like full-on meditation mode to like find like what to do next and stuff, and that's really where he's been. The short story which I mentioned in Corax changed that up a little bit, since it was confirmed that Corax was alive in the Eye of Terror, and Lorgar confronted him, and basically Corax is like, I wouldn't say he's embraced his chaosy side, but he knows that he was made with chaos from the Emperor, you know, because the Emperor used chaos to make the Primarchs, and he's using those like kind of chaosy powers. He's basically he can turn himself into like mist and smoke, and like make people look like he's a demon and go around and all that kind of stuff. That is like super select, like Batman or that kind of level. And Lorgar confronted him, and Corax was like, I've got you sent now, and I'm coming for you, and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that is going to be like one way Lorgar can come back, and it kind of breaks up the way that, you know, with the meditation, which he's been in for like 10,000 years. He's not fully, no, just the door's locked and no one disturb me. Maybe he's been going in and out of it, doing some certain things while in the Eye of Terror. Now, the Great Rift has happened, and I'm sure that's turned plenty of heads, Primarchs included, and now is probably, if not the best time for Lorgar to return. Chaos has basically got this full-on beachhead, let's say, across the galaxy with the Great Rift. Everything's going on in there, like, you know, the planets that were in there are basically lost or converted to chaos. I know, like, there's night worlds that fell. There's basically chapter planets which just got ripped apart and all that kind of stuff. Anything that's in the Rift is basically free game to chaos now. So this, I think, is the time for Lorgar to return. And not just Lorgar, the other Primarchs, but of course we're going to be speaking about Lorgar today. But I think it's time for Lorgar to return. He is the architect to everything that happened in the Horus Heresy. Without him, without his legion falling to chaos, I don't think any other legion would have fell. I think they would have resisted chaos. As Lorgar embraced the truth of chaos, he wanted to find that truth. He was the one that jumped in and just let chaos just take him away. I don't think the other legions would have gone down that route, but it was Lorgar that embraced it. So I would like the architect of everything to come back and show his face in this new 8th edition setting. Now, how can this be achieved? This is the million-dollar question. So I think the best route for them to go down is trying to involve it with Guilliman's return as well. Lorgar and Guilliman had a lot of beef back in the day. Of course, Lorgar was the one that saw Guilliman when he got like spanked off the Emperor, you know, for saying the Emperor was a god. The betrayal at Cal, for everything that happened at Cal, the 500 worlds, or the crusade against Guilliman with him and Angron, where they ripped the Ultramarine Empire apart. Guilliman hates Lorgar. Lorgar hates Guilliman, and I think since Guilliman has returned now, I think Lorgar would see that and say, right, if he's coming back, then I'm coming back, and I'm going to finish what I started. I think one of the really, really good conversation points of this, and I would love Lorgar to bring it up if he ever confronted Guilliman. Well, I hope if Lorgar did come back, they would have to have Guilliman and him do a showdown or something. And one of the great talking points would be, is that how really the word bearers eventually did win the war, because if you look at the Imperium now, the Imperium is basically how Lorgar set out it to be during the Great Crusade. The Emperor is seen as a god. If you disagree with that, of course Guilliman does, he just says he doesn't a god, but no one's going to argue with Guilliman. But if the average Imperial citizen says the Emperor is not a god, you basically get taken away and you're just never seen again. Executed, tortured, you'd probably labeled as a heretic or something like that. So in a way, the word bearers won the war, and the Imperium is how Lorgar set it out to be. Like the imperial truth back in the day, like, was like no religions, but the Legio Divitatis was basically like the words like the Emperor. The Emperor is a god, and that was banned back in the day. But now it's like you have to have text like that. If you're not seen worshipping the Emperor, if you don't go to like church and drop on your knees and almighty Emperor and stuff like that, you are basically a heretic in the Imperium's eyes, and you're purged. So it'd be absolutely hilarious to see Lorgar come back and say, see, Guilliman, you see, I actually did win, the Emperor is a god. And Guilliman, I think, would take this in such a funny, weird way that I think it'd just make him really, really angry, because Guilliman hates the fact that the Emperor is revered as a god. Like, he only really keeps a church around now because there's so much really going on with like all the chaos coming out and everything like that. I think down the line, when things maybe cool off a bit, if they ever cool off a bit, I can really see Guilliman really going in on like the church and everything like that, and just trying to erase it. I'm sure that's going to make like one hell of a twist in the Imperium with a knife, you know, right between the ribs, because it's going to be so many infighting of factions. There is some chapters that see the Emperor as a god. You know, the Black Templars are very devout. It's going to be funny if, you know, Guilliman comes to them and says, "What are you doing, you absolute noobs? He is not a god." If the Emperor was around now, seeing you say this stuff, then he would absolutely tear you all apart. I only really see one outcome for Lorgar. I know, like I mentioned about Guilliman and stuff, maybe, you know, he could come back and do that kind of thing, but for anything else to come back, I only really see one end goal from him, and that is to head to Terra and finish what he started. I don't really see him getting involved and like trying to take certain clumps of space or anything like that, because it's not about that with Lorgar. It's about the truth. It's about proving that he was right and the Emperor was wrong, and the only really way to prove that, I would say, to the Chaos Gods, is to go and kill the Emperor and then just piss off back to the Eye of Terror, or, you know, wherever he wants to bloody go after that. So I really see him just setting out to go to Terror. Of course, that is a massive thing to do. You can't just really go to Terror. You know, it took Horus all that time, and he had like legions and billions and billions of like guard and all that behind corrupted guard and everything, like Mechanicus and all that kind of stuff. So the road to Terror is a long one, but that is where I see Lorgar's eye set. Maybe he can convince Magnus and Mortarion to, like, you know, stop what they're doing. I know Mortarion's doing all the plague wars and stuff at the moment, and just, no, let's get back on track. Let's finish what we started, brothers, and let's go to Terror and let's kill Daddy. So as much as I dislike Lorgar, as much as I dislike the way he acts and what he does and what he says and stuff, I think he's such a hypocrite, personally. I think it would make sense lore-wise for him to come back. I think it would be good for the narrative of the story, seeing as we have Guilliman as the only loyalist Primarch back. If maybe we had another Primarch back like Vulcan or Rust, then maybe Lorgar not so much. But since it's Guilliman and all the history and stuff they have between them two, I think it sets up for some great stories, which the authors can delve into and keep us entertained. Alright chaps, that's me done for another video. I hope you've enjoyed it. There we go, Lorgar, more Chaos Primarchs added to the pile of potentially returning Primarchs for the 8th edition storyline. As always, if you have any ideas, or better ideas should I say, to how Lorgar could return, since mine was kind of plain and a bit boring, well, I think it's a bit boring anyway, then post it below and we can have a nice little conversation about it. And if you've got suggestions for the next Primarch for me to do next Monday, post that below as well and I'll count it up, and he shall be the next Primarch for that day. Thank you for watching once again. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall see you all very, very soon. See you now, brothers, and bye-bye.